Senator Mark Kelly's questioning was not simply a technical exchange about missile defense, it was a reality check. A sobering reminder that when we talk about spending $25 billion in a single year and potentially up to $1 trillion, this isn't monopoly money. It's taxpayer money. It's the people's money. And Kelly is asking the question that too few in Washington seem willing to ask. Does it even work?
Mr. Secretary, I want to talk about the proposed Golden Dome missile defense system. There's a request to spend $25 billion in this year alone. First of all, is this system designed to intercept a full salvo attack?
Senator, it's a multi-layer system that would include different types of salvos. Obviously,
so it's not just Rogue Nation. Okay.
Well, it's meant to. Yes, it's not meant to be just one nation. It could be utilized in
against Russia and
scenarios.
China, full salvo. So, what kind of reliability are you aiming to build into the system? Are we looking for something like 4 nines on intercept success? 99.99% reliability.
Obviously, you seek the highest possible. You begin with what you have and integrating those C2 networks and sensors, building up capabilities that are existing with an eye toward future capabilities that can come online as quickly as possible, not just ground-based but space-based.
So against future capability too. So do you believe that we can build a system that can intercept all incoming threats? You think we could build that system? This is a very hard physics problem.
You would know as well as anybody, sir, how difficult this problem is, and that's why we put our best people on it. We think the American people deserve it.
So let me tell you what I think we're facing here. You're talking about hundreds of ICBMs launched simultaneously, varying trajectories, MIRVs, so multiple reentry vehicles, thousands of decoys, hypersonic glide vehicles, all at once. And considering what the future threat might be, it might even be more complicated than that. And you're proposing spending not just $25 billion, but upwards of, I think CBO estimated this at least $500 billion, other estimates, $1 trillion. I am all for having a system that would work. I am not sure that the physics can get there on this. It's incredibly complicated. So I want to get to another issue that you're facing here. How much of the staff of the Office of the Director of Operational Test and Evaluation did you cut?
After collaboration, sir, with the service departments, the Joint Staff, and others, we identified that as a place where there were redundancies and multiple additional layers that were unnecessary.
I'll tell you what you cut. You cut 74%.
Most of it. That's what I was going to say.
Most of it. And was your decision to cut more than half of the Pentagon's testing and evaluation office staff driven in part by concerns about the office's plan to oversee testing of Golden Dome?
The concerns were not specific to Golden Dome, sir. It was years and years of delays unnecessarily based on redundancies in the decision-making process that the services, COCOMs, and the Joint Staff, together with OSD, identified as a logjam that was not helping the process.
To get the reliability we would need, you need something that's at 4 nines, 99.99% reliability, with all these challenges. And you cut the staff of the people who are going to make sure this thing works before we make it operational, before we give it to the warfighters. You got to go back and take a look at this. But I also strongly encourage you to put together before we spend $25 billion or $175 billion or $563 billion or $1 trillion, put together a group of people to figure out if the physics will work. You could go down a road here and spend hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars of the taxpayer money, get to the end, and we have a system that is not functional. That very well could happen. And you're doing this just because the president, and I understand your role as the Secretary of Defense. You got to execute what the president says. But this idea, might not be fully baked. And you can get in front of it now and figure out and find out if you put the right physicists on this. And I'm not saying go to the big defense contractors. I'm going to scientists and I know there's a questionable relationship with this administration and scientists, but go to some scientists, figure out what we would have to do to build a system, and then make smart decisions before we spend hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars.
Senator, we're doing that, leveraging existing technologies and not premising the project on aspirational technologies, what we can actually do, and would welcome.
Well, $25 billion in the first year is a lot of money. That's more than just figuring out if we have the ability to build a system that can handle a full salvo threat, hypersonic glide vehicles, MERS, thousands of decoys. Thank you.
Let's unpack what's happening here. The Golden Dome missile defense system, a proposed multi-layer shield against nuclear or hypersonic attacks, sounds reassuring on paper, a new frontier of American defense. But what Senator Kelly is pointing out is that we might be chasing a fantasy, a system designed to stop every incoming threat, thousands of warheads, decoys, hypersonic glide vehicles, all at once. In other words, trying to build a perfect umbrella against a nuclear storm. The problem is, physics might not allow it. Kelly, a former astronaut and Navy combat pilot, knows what he's talking about. He spent his life dealing with complex systems, the limits of technology, and the realities of risk. And his point is simple. Before we start writing trillion-dollar checks, we'd better make sure the science even works. Because when the stakes are that high, hope isn't a strategy. Now here's where it gets troubling. While this administration is pushing for the Golden Dome, the Pentagon under Secretary Hegseth has reportedly cut 74% of the Office of Testing and Evaluation, the very office responsible for making sure that these systems actually function before we hand them over to the military. Imagine firing 3/4 of the people responsible for making sure a plane can fly, then insisting it's ready for takeoff. That's what we're looking at here. Kelly's questioning exposed a contradiction that should concern everyone, regardless of party. How can we claim to be building a nearly perfect defense system, one with 99.99% reliability, when we've gutted the people tasked with testing its reliability? The math doesn't add up, and neither does the logic. There's also a deeper philosophical issue here, one that progressives have been raising for years. What are we prioritizing? For every $1 billion poured into an unproven missile shield, that's $1 billion we're not investing in diplomacy, education, clean energy, or the real security threats of our time, like climate change, cyber defense, and global instability fueled by poverty and authoritarianism. And Kelly doesn't just criticize, he offers a path forward. He urges the Defense Department to go to scientists, not just defense contractors. That's key, because when the only people at the table are the ones profiting from endless weapons development, we end up in a cycle of waste, building systems for the sake of building systems, not for actual national security. Kelly's plea to bring in independent physicists and scientists is really a call for integrity in defense policy, a return to evidence-based decision-making. He's saying, let's pause, study, and understand the science before we lock ourselves into another trillion-dollar boondoggle that doesn't even do what it promises. At its heart, this exchange is about accountability, something Senator Kelly, a former Navy captain and astronaut, embodies. It's about demanding transparency and rigor when our nation's safety and taxpayers' dollars are on the line. The question he leaves hanging in the air is this: are we building real security or just the illusion of it? Because the truth is, America's strength doesn't come from shiny new weapon systems or military pageantry. It comes from wisdom, from foresight, and from leaders like Kelly who are willing to say, hold on, when others are racing toward another blank check for the defense industry. So, as citizens, we should be paying close attention. This isn't just about one missile system. It's about whether we're going to keep letting defense contractors write our national security priorities, or whether we start demanding that science, accountability, and common sense come first. If you care about responsible spending, real national security, and leadership grounded in facts, not fantasy, this is a debate worth watching closely. Because at the end of the day, true strength isn't about how much we spend, it's about how wisely we spend it. Call to action. Stay informed. Ask your representatives where they stand on defense spending oversight. Support leaders who value science, accountability, and integrity over political theater. Because $1 trillion of your money deserves more than just promises. It deserves proof.